Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together this Bowling Night card, which is a box card from Simply Crafty SVGs. So here are the pieces to the bowling card. So here are the inserts. These are inserts, and this is the middle piece of the card and the outside of the card. So I'm going to go over this carefully, but I am going to explain. This is a card, if it's for the first time, a little bit difficult, but it really isn't that bad if you just follow my instructions. So I'm going to put those aside for now. These are the panels that will go on the outside of the card. So I'm going to put those with the card. And these are the elements on it. This is on the back piece that'll be on the inside back. And then these are the pieces that we have to piece together for the shoe, the bowling ball, and the bowling pins. So there's a lot of small pieces in here. This is where the embellishment bowl, which is a freebie on our website, comes in handy. I did it in Star Wars things because I like Star Wars. So I want to make sure I have 6 of those so I don't lose things like that. So that's the teeniest piece we have. And then the shoelaces, which should cut out fairly well. I cut them out on a Cricut, and I also cut them out on a Silhouette. So those are the most common machines used. They cut out fine, so I'm assuming that it'll work in the scan and cut anything. So this is how they layer. So we're going to put those together, and then we have each of these. So I'm going to pull these out. These will be each of the inserts that we'll use. So we have a bowling ball one too, which I'm looking for. It's right there. So once we get these pieces, we'll put them on these pieces. So first things first. So let me show you the pieces. So these are the hardest ones. I'm just getting them lined up. So the top one is going to be slightly smaller than the bottom one. So want to make sure you have the right ones for each side. So if you lay them out. So I was going to just have you watch, but I do need to explain the bowling ball for these red pieces. So I'm going to flip those around. So the top one is slightly smaller. And those are smaller. It's kind of hard to see, so this is smaller. So just kind of take the time to look at them. I realize these are like really small. Don't get me wrong. But I was going to do it a different way, and I just didn't like the effect. They're not much different in size, so if you put one on a different one versus the other, then you should be okay. So here's the solitary. Let's do that first. So we're going to put these aside. So we have the bowling ball pieces. Not bowling ball, the bowling pins. I can't say bowling ball. So there's little cut pieces, cut lines in here, and you'll see the little cut lines in there. So I'm going to take this pick-me-up tool, which is a little tool that has a little sticky at the end. It's got a little bit too much sticky, so we're going to take some off. But it has a little sticky in the end to lift things up. So it seems to me this is a smaller one. So all you've got to do is put a little dot of glue. So there's going to be 4 cut lines. The first one's going to go between the first and second cut line. And the second one will go between the 3rd and 4th with white in between. So I'm going to take this one, put it in between, and I can tell that's the wrong one. I put it the wrong way. So you can tell immediately. So that goes on the bottom. And I'll try this one, see if I get lucky. I wish I could have done the same exact size, but I did not. So one has more of an edge on it than the other. So this one, what I mean is the bottom one's more angled than the top. I promise you this is really not that. It's just if I put it upside down. Oh Lord. Yeah, I could edit all this out, but why? That way I can show you before you make the mistake. Okay. So there you go there. I know it seems like that was really difficult. So the ones we need for the bottom are these two, angled, and then these should be bigger at the top for the top. So the last two we want to add are these two, the same thing. Between the first and second line, add a bead of glue. Between third and fourth, add a little bead of glue. And then get it in place. So once you have the right one, I just need to make sure it doesn't flip over because it's textured on one side. So you just lightly pick it up with this little sticky stuff on the end. It's a Silhouette Pick-Me-Up stick, but they have other versions out like that. So here's the last one. So once you figure out what's the top and bottom, so you could dry fit it first. That was my error not doing so for the video. But I really wanted to look like a bowling pin, so without putting stripes, I could have separated the white, so it's the other way I could have done it. But I chose to do it this way. So next time, maybe I'll do it the other way when I do something bowling. And now you can go ahead and put that on there. And you can just pop it up, or you can just put it flat. I'm just going to glue it on there. And line up the bottom and then and the top. It's a slight angle, but you want to get it lined up on that panel. And then that's the hardest one to piece, really, in my opinion, other than the shoelaces. The shoelaces are a little bit fiddly. So you could forward from here. I'm just going to go through each of the pieces since I'm doing it anyways. You can watch this or forward through this, fast forward if you want to go faster. Because if I show you just how it's layered, most people, that's all they need. So let's go ahead and do the shoe next, because that's the next one that has just a smidgen of difficulty. And bowling ball is super easy. So bowling ball, just make sure that I have the texture side up. And it just goes like that. So let's, actually I'll just do the bowling ball really quick. Just add glue lightly around the openings. And just make sure it's circular, so just make sure it's centered on there. So I always start with one side and then go to the other side and just kind of go around. Make sure it's in place, lined up, and then apply pressure. And then I have it like that. Kind of looks like a sideways happy face. Kind of makes me smile a bit. Just like that. And if you wanted, you could always ink the edges if you don't want to see the white on the edge. So the Here's the shoe. So it took me a couple tries to get this so it'll cut out okay for most machines. So it's going to go like this. And then the black part, the white's on the shoelaces. So put those aside. The way this works, so I'd start with this piece. Just line it up towards the top. Always put it on lightly and then scooch it a little bit. That's what's nice about wet glue. Just double check on the back. I was having trouble with this particular gray with these cuts. It was just a specific color. The way this black piece goes on, make sure I have the texture side up. I'm going to start towards the back there, right here. It's going to line up towards the bottom. You see how it lines up right there? It lines up around that little curve there. So you can put this one by one on. Now you could do the black piece. I mean, you can do it. Here's going to be the thinnest. I'm just going to clean off my little tip here. You want to go really lightly. I'm just going to kind of tap glue on it. And those are like the shoelace holes. And it's going to line up with these little ridges at the top. So line it up at the ridge. So start at the top. Let me flip it over so you can see. I was slightly off. You can see it's lined up. So this is the hardest part as far as the gluing goes, other than the bowling pin. But I wanted to get some detail with the shoes. It was more detailed, but I actually simplified it to make it easier to put together. I know that seems strange because it doesn't seem that easy to put together, but believe me, it's much easier. But I wanted realism. You're going to line these up, lightly place them, but lining up those little squigglies at the top there. And this is where the benefits of using clear glue is. So just be really careful, and there you go, there's your shoe. And then I'm just going to add glue to this insert. And I don't know where it ends down there, so I'm just going to add glue to the bottom of this. Just getting that centered. Then this one, if we get the card, literally the piecing is the most time-consuming part of this. If you flip the card over, so this is the front. That doesn't bend. If you flip the card over, this will glue on the inside, and it just got turned around, so make sure it's the right way. So it's going to fit like that. Sure. So you'll have to get exactly there. It doesn't matter if the little white shows. Then for this one, you can center it, or I'm going to go a little higher so it's offset a little bit. So it's up to you what look you want. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's do the offset first. I'm going to do it right there so you can see it on the white. Just make sure you have this situated before you put it down. So dry fit it first to make sure. I'm just going to go up a little bit to make the black a little bit further back. In the bottom. Just to give it a little fun look. But you could center it. So that it's meant to be centered, but I just thought it looks good offset. And this would be good to add your different, if you have a bowling team or somebody who has colors, you can add your own colors and personalize it. Make sure I get it in the correct spot there. Remember, you're putting this on the inside of the card. So this would be like looking at the front, but it's really on the inside. We're not. I'm just kind of getting it in place on that part. So now that's all left, I just kind of moved it a little bit, is to put the card together. So we're going to go ahead and flip that over. I'll make sure my glue didn't dry up on me here. We'll get the panels. We'll go ahead and I've already kind of inked the edges of the panel with black ink. Gives it kind of an edging. And then I'm just placing these where they go. And I would suggest pre-folding this, but we'll fold it again after I put these panels on. So we're going to just go ahead and center each of these panels. I chose not to put a panel on the back on purpose. So you can put a message. That's where you can write on this card. I don't have a place for that on every type of card like this, but for this one, I do. You can always put a little message. You can always add little tags, and of course a tag on the front for whatever you want to put it, whether it be a birthday or happy retirement, or because really this is a generic card for somebody that's bowls, regardless of what. Could be an anniversary card for all of you, depending on what works for you. If you do like this card, or projects that we have, I always ask if you give us a little thumbs up on our video, or like, and or subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. And if you hit that little bell to the right of the subscribe, you'll be notified when we have new projects. Cards, boxes, 3D, and or tutorials. Okay, so we're ready to put it together now. So that's the outside. So this is where it's important to really pay attention. One thing, make sure you have this good and folded on the bottom here and score everything. We're going to take this now. We'll need this. We'll need the outside in a minute, but we'll just do this inside part. So you want to fold these really well. So you want to really fold it here. I cut my score lines, so this like little kiss cut, so it's very easy to fold. But if you have use a score tool like Cricut, you may have to use a bone folder or something, or just to get it really nice and sharp there. And this signifies if it's the square corner here, that's the back. Rounded corners is the front. Okay, that becomes important in a moment. So for now, once we fold it really well, we're going to go ahead and add glue to this, and we're going to glue these two pieces together. So try to get as close as possible on the top. So if you follow these instructions carefully, it should go together just fine. But it may take a little practice, so it doesn't feel so awkward. I know I had to practice quite a bit. So we just want to make sure that's good and dry before we go on to the next part. Get all this excess glue off here. So it's actually pretty easy to put together a card. It's just finicky, and you need to do it a certain way. So as I stated, that's the front because it's rounded, right? And this is the back because it's got square. And there's two holes in the front, one hole in the back. So this is going to go towards the front. That means it's going to go like this. And I'm going to put something in there so you can see it. This is the middle one. This is the front of the card. So it'll be like that. Okay? Just to give you an idea. So knowing this is the front, we're going to go ahead and slide this in like this. So we want this facing the rounded area. So we're going to slide it in. You're just going to flip it over. So you can just hold it lightly in the other hand. Add glue towards the end of it. Okay. Then we're going to turn it back over, making sure we push this through. Pushing that down gently, just to make sure it's in the hole. And then we just glue it. And you can see it's flat up here. If it's a little bit off, it's not a huge deal. The most important tabs to glue are the front and back. So this is going to be the front. So this is going to go like this. So we want to fold that back. Make sure it's folded back and it's a good fold. Folds well. Crisp fold, I guess. So we want this to go in front of the ball. So this is the front, right? And this is the front. Knowing that, I'm going to flip this over. So that's the front. We want these facing that. And we want this little squared piece facing the back. So we're going to take that out for a minute. I just want to make sure you know how to glue this. So make sure that is upside down. If you have it situated, the back is facing you like that. And that's the back, that's why. So we're going to fold that. We're going to add glue to this tab. And make sure I don't get glue beyond this fold. We're going to line this up on the bottom. And I'm pushing down at the same time. Like pushing down that way. Then I'm going to apply pressure to fold over this. So it did go a little bit to the left, but that's okay. Try to get it centered best you can, but it's not going to hurt how it functions. I've done it so many times, I now know what works and what doesn't. So you want to make sure that's good and dry before going on the next step. So now back to the front of the card. So I'm kind of flipping it around because I'm right-handed, basically. So now we have that folded back. So I'm going to slide that through the hole. And I'm going to fold it like this so you can see that it's shaped like this. Okay? So make sure this is folded down. This piece with the rounded edge is folded down. This is pushed in. I'm going to tell you these over and over again, so it seems repetitive, but there's a reason for it. So we're going to go ahead and add glue carefully. We don't want the glue to leak off into another part because it's going to glue down and not open properly. So I added glue there and added glue here at the same time. Okay, make sure it's shaped like this. You can see this shape, and this is folded back like this. Push that in. Make sure it's pushed down all the way. And you can kind of hold it in place. Okay, straight. We're going to fold this over. I'm going to do the other hand. I'm going to fold that over on that. You can go like that. And then on this top piece. Okay. And we want to make sure we give a lot of pressure, but we're going to verify that it's working fine for us in just a minute here. So I want to make sure it was pushed down. And from the side, you can see how it's folded. Okay. So if you need to, you can put your finger in there to add more pressure or fold it over and continue to add pressure. Okay. So the step-by-step, what you just did was this. You can see the middle right there. So the last insert, we're going to fold it backwards like that, and then we're going to fold it towards us. Because in order for this mechanism to work, this has to be folded towards the middle of the card, okay? So make sure you fold it, and if you need to, you get something like a bone folder. I use this tool a lot, my stylus, and get that nice and sharp, folded in a valley fold. So now we want it upside down, so you can see, you can tell it doesn't want to be like that. You need to be like that, towards the other, facing the front. We're going to slide it in. Again, to get it prepped, it needs to look like this, okay? So make sure your card looks like this. You have this shape going on, and this is folded down with the sharp corners there. And this has to push down all together, okay? So I'm going to do it from a different angle this time. So I'm going to add glue right here. Making sure you can see that. And it's below the fold, so don't get it above the fold, else get a good coverage on there without it going over, because you could glue things without, and it could hinder it. Then we're going to add glue here. Just doing a light bead, that's where these fine tip applicators come in handy. So before we fold it over, so we're just going to fold that over and glue that as you see it right now. The most important thing is making sure this is pushed in. So, and it's flush up there. So as I fold over, you can see I hold that, I'm pushing it down, just right here. And then really quickly, before it really adheres, I'm going to flip it over, make sure it's pretty lined up. Because I got that first one kind of crooked, it's a little bit, it's lined up enough. So now we want to just make sure we just give it some force to get it glued on, those two pieces. And we can validate it, just like we did earlier. Make sure nothing's sticking where it shouldn't. You can see it. Just gently, just move it up. Just push it up a little bit, okay? And then pull it down. See, that's how we can validate. And if you needed to, you could put a little tool in there to apply additional pressure. So now we just need to flip this in. We're going to flip that in right here. We're going to add glue to this tab. It's just easier to add it to this one than the one that we just flipped in. And we're going to line it up. It doesn't line up exactly, it just means that I didn't line it up well the first time, but it will work still. I didn't get it when we fold it over, validate that this is lined up, so it's a little bit off. And then you can just glue this on the inside here. So you see how it's slightly off? It's just when I folded that big piece over, I didn't validate it was lined up. So little things can go wrong with this card, but nothing like mind altering. So you can see it's off, it's still going to work. So it should line up, but of course I didn't validate that part. So now you can see it. I'm going to turn it around. And we're going to flip it up. And there it is. It's a little bowling card, so you can add a little embellishment or a saying on the front, whatever you want to do, and then that's it. And then it just flips down, folds flat to fit into an envelope. So this is an A2 envelope. You can see it fits into that just fine. So you can add your embellishment, something on the front. There you go. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I thank you so much for watching.